Welcome to Charts This Week. My name's David Linton. I run Updata, and this week we're taking a look at a currency special here. Quite an interesting chart of the euro. I'm using the clouds. It really, again, so many of you have been writing to give me feedback on the Cloud Charts book. I cover a lot of currencies in detail in the book, so certainly it's great to get that feedback, and thank you to all of you who've been writing in about the book. Here we see that we have crossed on the cloud on the euro, so we are in bearish territory. We need to get through 140 on the euro to be back into bullish territory on the daily cloud. So really quite a worrying chart for the euro. And here we look at sterling, much the same picture. This is pound dollar. Sterling is below on the chart. We basically need to get through the 157 mark to be bullish again on the daily chart. So not looking great for either the euro or sterling. One very interesting one, of course, is to resolve that euro-sterling relationship, because these two are obviously showing some weakness against the dollar over the long term, and here we have a very interesting situation where we're narrowing in on a range. We see when we've had these in the past, the breakouts have tended to be to the upside. This is more likely to be a continuation pattern, so it does suggest next year we might actually, this year later maybe, or next year, we might actually see the pound being worth less than the euro. So quite a key chart, that. But the great thing about these triangles is converging in, and I do cover these patterns in the book as well. The great thing about these triangles is when we break, we tend to run them because the lines are converging. If we look at Euro Swiss, obviously last week was quite a tough week for the euro against the Swiss franc, and what's most interesting is that we have actually broken to new all-time lows since the euro was launched. The Swissy is now stronger than ever, and we've broken that level of support. So strong Swiss there. And in fact, if we look at the euro 60-minute chart, we now go into the shorter term time frame. I do a lot of work on time horizon in the book. It's an absolutely essential part of clouds. Which time frame should you be looking at? And there's a whole chapter dedicated to analysing the different time horizons. The 60-minute chart is what we call the short-term time frame. The daily is the medium term. The 60-minute chart is giving you a view of days ahead, where the daily is giving you a view of weeks ahead. So really quite key here that this 60-minute chart of the euro, we've broken through the cloud in the last couple of trading days. So we're now in the bullish zone, suggesting that we could get this counter trend move back to that sort of 138, 140 level on the euro. But so short term, the euro is bullish. Bearish medium term, short term it's bullish. And then if we look at sterling, we're just coming out of the cloud on the same basis against the dollar. We're just breaking out. So in sterling is also starting to just show some short term strength against the euro. It's probably oversold, and we might be pushing back to that 155, 157 mark. But there's obviously, we've got the pressure of the daily cloud still acting on us. And then if we look at euro sterling, because we're in that range where the lines are pointing in, because we're in that sideways range, we're very congested. And clouds, when you get congested, they are difficult, and then we deal with this a lot in the book. How do you deal with congestion zones when you're reading the clouds? But at the moment, we are again breaking out on sterling is getting a little bit ahead of the euro. So in fact what we're seeing is that I should say that euro is strengthening probably more than sterling. So we're seeing euro strength, sterling relative weakness. So euro's the stronger one at the moment. And you know, the 60-minute charts are your short-term time frame. Very short term. I won't even look at the clouds very short term. You can go down to 5 minute, 1 minute, and we show you how you do that in the book. But very short term, of course, they're out of date very quickly. This is a 1 minute point and figure chart of the euro, and we've got a 1 minute target of 136.60, but we've also got a downside target, but the trend is up, so we tend to favour the upside at the moment. These charts change very quickly, so remember to keep a close eye on them on your systems. Yen, Japanese yen, we'll just take a look at some Far East. Here we see that we've broken through the cloud, of course, in Japan. The Ichimoku technique's very heavily used, so a lot of people looking at these charts. We're bullish on the yen at the moment, so that's quite key. And then we see here the 60-minute chart, how we're testing this zone, really quite key. And then if we get to the Australian dollar, really amazing chart. This has been a fantastic performer through 2009, but we've headed into the congestion zone. We've got the resistance of the previous high at about 97.50. We couldn't quite get to parity against the US dollar. And remember that all these patterns with the clouds do apply, so we've still got to use all of the normal technical analysis tools when we're looking at the clouds, and we highlight that very heavily in the book. And then we see here that we're in this zone. We may have a continuation pattern before we run again, so quite interesting. And then last of all, if we look at the 60-minute chart on the Aussie dollar, we see that we've had this falling away, so we've been bearish short term. It's not a very strong deep trend as we saw from the daily chart, but we are just starting to poke above this. So if we can hang on to 91.50 for a few hours on the Aussie dollar, then we're probably going to start breaking, and that would be quite interesting. We'd be breaking and running again. So the Aussie dollar is looking pretty interesting if we can sustain that break. That's it for this week. I'm always happy to look at currencies. Just email me, let me know what you want to have a look at, and I'll do my best to cover them. Until next week, happy charting. See you then.